Hi, I'm Kevin. Let's talk about queer stuff in Jesus and how I went from ex-gay to being extra gay. Recently, I had a friend of mine send me an article penned by Rosaria Butterfield, who is the author of Secrets of an Unlikely Convert, in which Rosaria tells the story of how she was in a same-sex relationship for a long time. She was staunchly against Christianity, and then she encountered God and basically totally flipped to the other side. Now is married to a man, staunchly opposes same-sex relationships and believes that they're sinful. And my friend, who came out a little bit after I did, said that he is always a little bit shaken when he hears a story of someone who has an ex-gay testimony. And what I mean by ex-gay testimony is someone who says that they used to be attracted to people of the same sex, but because of what God has done for them, they have been healed and that they're no longer gay. They are no longer bisexual, they're no longer attracted to people of the same sex, but exclusively attracted to people of the opposite sex. I always feel kind of weird talking about ex-gay testimonies because I never want to look at somebody's life and say that your story or what God has done for you is invalid because I am not you, or these other people who have ex-gay testimonies. I'm not here to invalidate what God has done in their life. At the same time, I also want to point out that their story is not my own. So here are just a couple of things to keep in mind when hearing ex-gay testimonies. First of all, they're incredibly uncommon. It was shown that 99% of people who went through that kind of reparative therapy experienced no change in their sexual orientation. So how do ex-gay testimonies exist? Personal theory on my end, I think that people who have ex-gay testimonies possibly bisexual and who are simply leaning into their attraction towards people of the opposite sex, or they're queer individuals who experience some sort of sexual fluidity, where they feel at one time that they're attracted exclusively to people of the same sex, and then perhaps afterward they're only attracted to people of the opposite sex. And then because they are Christian and they are in Christian circles, they will say, oh, God healed me. And again, I can't speak for them, I don't know them, but that's, again, my own personal theory. So I'm not really here to police anybody's testimonies, but I will say, I do have a problem with the way ex-gay testimonies are used by certain people, because people will take someone who has an ex-gay testimony, put them on a stage, parade them around, and say, look, God did it for them, which means that all the other homosexuals out there are lying. And trust me when I say that I tried for 12 years to be straight. I tried to seek healing. I did inner healing. I did Exodus. I fasted. I even dated a couple of women in order to really live out what I felt the call of God was for my life. But at the end of it all, I was really just lying to myself. So what developed in me was depression and anxiety. I attempted suicide twice. And to be truthful, many people who were part of the reparative therapy community killed themselves because they were unable to change who they were. And so when there's ex-gay testimonies being paraded around saying, you're just not trying hard enough, trust me, people have tried with their entire lives to be something other than they are, and it's deadly. So how should we react as queer people, queer Christians, allied Christians, when we hear somebody using an ex-gay testimony as kind of a weapon to be used against the LGBTQ community? I think we need to remind people that stories are descriptive and not prescriptive. And what I mean by that is that it is describing one person's experience and it cannot be prescribed as how everybody's story is going to go, because we all know that God is shaping everybody's story differently. And then I think we also need to point to the data, which shows, again, that 99% of people who were involved in some form of reparative therapy experienced no change in their sexual orientation or gender identity. That's just good science. All the queer people listening to this, if you're feeling some sort of trepidation each time you hear an ex-gay testimony, as much as possible, settle yourself in your own story. Trust what God is doing in your life. Trust your body. Trust the spirit inside of you. Trust what God is doing, because honestly, you know that you're okay. You know that who you were created to be is not just okay, but good. So don't let one person's story, which is much different from your own, dictate how you're going to live your life and follow Jesus. All that to say is I used to be an ex-gay one time too, and then I stopped lying about who I was and stopped lying to God and to my family, and then I just became extra gay, which is a lot more fun anyway, so. Thanks so much for watching this video. If it was helpful, go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Send this video to someone who wants to send you an ex-gay testimony and tell them, nah bruh, not for me. As always, you can connect with me on all the social media. All the links are below. Subscribe to the blog, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a comment below. Has anyone ever tried to say, well, I heard an ex-gay testimony, so I know you can be healed too? Was that annoying to you? Because it's always annoying to me. Ooh. Thanks so much for watching again, and I will see you later. Bye.